When I look at the historical relationship between philanthropy and our communities, it is often dictated by what the philanthropic donors want to do and the impact that they want to have, which is always well intended. And, there's been some amazing things that have happened because of that. But it might not be the same as if the Aboriginal community had access to this type of resource, what they might do with it and what they might think are the priorities. This paper really does challenge the sector, not only the university sector, but the philanthropic sector, to think about how they engage with the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and what could be possible.
We very much value the donations, we very much value the input, we very much value the commitment to actually improve outcomes for our people. But one of the things we want to try and change is that narrative around how we should go about it, and we really want to put a lens on it which actually encapsulates the lived experience of our people.
Whilst that support's there, there's a lot of agenda that is driven by the supporters and not by community. So this work's really trying to, turn that power dynamic around. And, we decide the outcomes, we know what's going to work best in our communities. So it's about us determining the agenda.
There's an amazing opportunity for philanthropists to actually sit and listen to what Aboriginal people want and need in their communities and to work together with them, which would make a much more satisfying relationship between each other, between the communities, between the philanthropists. We don't have inherent wealth. That has been taken from us because of policies and colonisation. So to actually be able to get people to invest in our amazing ideas and the way that we think that things should happen, the satisfaction that both sides could actually manage to come from something like this would be really great.
Before you can start any research, before you can start any kind of work you need to do, you need to sit down and yarn with the community and make sure they understand what you're trying to do, but also to get their input into the direction you're going. And I've been shown plenty of times by mob that I'm doing things the wrong way. And I love that. It's a really powerful thing for community to say, hang on, Kelvin, have you thought about this? Or why didn't you think about X, Y, and Z from that perspective? I think that's really, really important for us. And sometimes that process can take a lot longer to actually enact. And so when you're talking about timelines of funding, it's very strict and you have to do this, you can only talk to these people and it has to be an outcome of X, Y, and Z. One of the things that we want to try and reflect on is how to actually change that narrative. I think when companies come to you or groups come to you wanting to donate, there's a real good-hearted nature about the intention of what they want to do. And what we really want to do is change that from being well-intentioned thought process on what their expectations are to change it to a transformational engagement which actually changes the whole way in which their mindset is around Indigenous ways, Indigenous people, and the way in which we're going about things.
When we started this work, I started to think about my own family's relationship with money. And when I left school, we got access to my grandparents' file, which was held by the Australian government, which basically had a lot of things in it that we didn't know existed. One of those things was letters from my nan, Maggie Towney, Nee Stanley, from Nanama Mission, who was requesting that my pop's wages be paid in cash as opposed to vouchers. And accompanying those letters were my dad's name and all of his siblings when Dad was only a young fella, which showed how much rations they were all entitled to. So how much sugar, how much butter, all those different things. And I also then have the responses of the Aboriginal Protection Board, which basically declined Nan's request that basically they weren't trusted with money and that they shouldn't receive the cash and that they will continue to be paid in vouchers. So I started to think about our people's relationship with money and our inability to generate wealth. So not only were we taken from our lands, which then other people benefited from financially and were able to build wealth and create wealth over generations, we also, even when we did work, weren't allowed to be paid cash. So we had no ability to save money, to generate any type of wealth for our generations to come. And so, I think that's a really important story to tell as we start to think about our people's relationship with philanthropy and with money itself, because that should shape the way that we start to approach this work.